Dateline, Aurora, Colorado. A robber was caught on surveillance video attempting to rob a merchant, and his efforts look like a real-life version of Woody Allen's classic comedy, Take the Money and Run. The would-be thief entered an e-cigarette store and yanked out a pistol, but it slipped out of his hand and went sliding across the counter to the clerk. She picked up the pistol, and suddenly his plan was going up in smoke. Changing movie themes, he attempted a ninja-style kick to the door in his escape, but he wasn't wearing a black belt. For that matter, he wasn't wearing any belt, and his pants fell to his ankles to slow his getaway. Folks, you know you're having a bad day when your pants falling down is only the second worst thing that happens at your job. He finally managed to pull his pants up and run. Colorado police are on the lookout for a terrible criminal with sagging britches and a wounded ego. Hollywood is helping out with the manhunt as they want to cast him in Dumb and Dumber Part 3. Now, the U.S. Postal Service works hard to ensure that our mail arrives on time, but outside Milwaukee, in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, the biggest postal challenge was a sticky-fingered mail carrier. Ebony LaVon Smith pleaded guilty to sorting through the mail that she was supposed to deliver and picking out birthday cards, wedding cards, and other special occasion letters to pluck the cash and gift cards that were in them. After enough Wauwatosa complained of missing gifts by way of mail, postal authorities placed a transmitter in a card, and they caught Ms. Smith opening it. They discovered cash, open mail, and letter openers along with tape to reseal the letters. The Postal Service was also contacted by Wrench and Go Auto Salvage about mail that was found in the rear of a car they were starting to scrap. It contained 6,625 first-class greeting card envelopes and 540 personal checks, some within their greeting card with envelopes. Also had 45 unopened greeting cards. Ms. Smith pleaded guilty to theft or receipt of stolen mail, and she's going to be sentenced at a later date. Perhaps the motto of the USPS will be updated to now say, neither snow nor rain nor Ms. Smith will keep them from delivering the mail in greater Milwaukee. Oh, and a note to all my creditors in Wauwatosa. I told you the check was in the mail. Next time, please believe me. And from our Murder, She Wrote files, a woman who shot her husband is also an author. She once wrote an essay entitled, How to Murder Your Husband. Nancy Crampton Brophy wrote that as a romantic suspense writer. She, quote, spent a lot of time thinking about murder and consequently police procedure, end quote. Her romance novels include titles like The Wrong Husband. Crampton Brophy's alleged victim is her deceased husband of 27 years, Chef Daniel Brophy. No word on how their personal relationship or his culinary skills impacted her writings or decisions, but while he was cooking up a fish dish, she was cooking up a plot for him to sleep with the fishes. Police arrested her on a preliminary charge of domestic violence murder. Mr. Brophy was a culinary instructor who was well-liked by his students, but apparently not so much by his wife. The police have not offered a motive for the killing yet, but we offer these motivations from her 2011 essay on killing a husband, infidelity, abuse, or greed. Crampton Brophy wrote, divorce is expensive, and do you really want to split your possessions? Obviously, a practical one to her. In her defense, however, she did write, I don't want to worry about blood and brains splattered on my walls. And really, I'm not good at remembering lies. Well, Nancy, we want to encourage you to tell the truth about this terrible incident with your husband because no matter the cost, you're going to be able to write one whale of a romance murder mystery from an up and close personal view if you're found guilty. And by the way, you're going to have plenty of time to do it like the rest of your natural life. Now, from our Florida Again file, a driver who fled police in Florida after a traffic stop for speeding decided to jump into a canal in order to aid in his escape, only to find out that nature, that's right, nature was working with the police department. 22-year-old Abraham Duarte landed in the canal and was quickly overcome by a bluish-green toxic algae that had been killing wildlife all summer. After getting a swallow of it, Duarte immediately started to cry out to the police who had been chasing him, and he was begging them for help. Police set up a perimeter, and he was crying out, "I'm going to die," as he wiggled through the toxic muck. He got himself in the middle of the algae, and he's not liking it very much, one officer said. Duarte took turns retching and cursing as he worked his way back to the edge of the canal where officers pulled him to safety. Police officers hosed the blue-colored algae off of him, and then they got him to a hospital. They found that speeding wasn't the only reason that Mr. Duarte was fleeing. He had 7 vials of THC also in his possession. Duarte is still dealing with respiratory and stomach issues days after being exposed to the blue algae. He told the local press, "It smells like, well, it smells real bad. Let me just leave it there." Mr. Duarte has been charged with possession of a controlled substance and resisting arrest. His attempt to impersonate a Smurf using toxic algae was apparently dropped. And that's all the time we have for this week. Listen to that sigh of relief from our audience. It's okay to be relieved, but remember to be thankful as well, because we read the news so you don't have to.